What's it like when time passes 31 million times faster and you're stuck in a cave trap? Let's find out. You're on Flashback Recap. Let's go. The movie starts with Hopper, an archaeology professor, and his dog Boss searching for his family who vanished in the 1970s while exploring a cave in pursuit of the Fountain of Youth. During his search, Hopper spots a cave in the distance. When he reaches the cave entrance, he sees a cowboy whose gun and clothing appear to be from another era, seemingly frozen in time. Shocked by this discovery, Hopper retreats and heads home. Initially, he had planned this expedition with his teaching assistants, Taylor and Jackie, but upon returning home, Hopper informs them that things have changed and decides to go back to the cave on his own. Entering the cave again, Hopper notices a barrier that separates the cave's atmosphere from the outside world. He breaks through this barrier, which causes the cowboy figure from his previous visit to come to life. 2 days pass with no word from Hopper, so Taylor and Jackie decide to search for him. Lacking a vehicle, they call Kara, Taylor's crush, and ask to borrow her dad's SUV. Kara agrees and also brings along her sister Vives, who needs to work on a school project, and Vives' friend Furby. The group arrives at the cave and finds Hopper's parents' van, realizing that the professor has been searching for his missing family all this time, rather than a group of hippies from the 70s as they had been told. They discover an old rope leading into a different section of the cave. The rope appears to have been cut and is very old, indicating it's not Hopper's. As they explore further, they find the cave is incredibly deep. The group decides to descend, leaving Furby behind to keep watch since he's too scared to join them. While descending, Kara encounters the same invisible barrier that Hopper did, which alters the air. The group breaks through the barrier and continues. Entering the cave again, Hopper notices a barrier that separates the cave's atmosphere from the outside world. He breaks through this barrier, which causes the cowboy figure from his previous visit to come to life. When Hopper entered, it was still daylight, but after just a few minutes inside, the outside world has drastically changed. His car is now covered in overgrown plants, and it's nighttime. He realizes that time inside the cave moves much slower than outside, with minutes in the cave equating to decades in the outside world. Spotting Kara's SUV and Jackie's backpack, Hopper re-enters the cave. As the kids explore further, they hear screams, prompting the girls to attempt to leave, starting with Jackie. However, the rope suddenly snaps, causing Jackie to fall and injure both herself and Taylor, who tries to save her. Taylor pulls another rope, only to find that it's been cut as well. The group suspects Furby might be playing a prank by cutting the ropes. They try to contact Furby via radio but receive no response. Eventually, they hear muffled cries for help over the radio, with Furby claiming it's him. With no other choice, the group presses on, leaving the injured Jackie behind. Hopper's family originally went to the cave because his sister fell seriously ill, and they hoped the cave's rumored magical waters could heal her. In their search for this miracle water, the family ventured into the cave only to vanish without a trace. As Furby investigates the cave for his missing friends, presumed dead, his goal is to find the car keys to escape. Furby's experience outside the cave spans several days, but from the perspective of those still inside, only seconds have passed. When Furby finally enters the cave, his rope is unexpectedly cut, causing him to plummet. He falls and loses consciousness, but doesn't die immediately. After about an hour, Furby regains consciousness and attempts to communicate with Taylor over the radio. Just as he starts talking, a caveman suddenly appears, attacking and ultimately killing him. While reviewing Furby's recording, Vives notices something peculiar. The time code on the footage spans several days, even though they've only been inside the cave for an hour. This discrepancy in the passage of time is puzzling, and the group begins to realize that time moves at vastly different rates inside and outside the cave. With Taylor and Jackie both injured, Kara and Vives are the only ones capable of seeking help. Given that Vives is the younger and less experienced of the two, Kara decides to make the climb herself, using the same path they descended earlier. Amidst the chaos, she notices a giant triangle-shaped object looming in the sky, which fills her with dread and confusion. With no way to call for help and realizing the danger, she rushes back into the cave. This disparity in time perception frustrates and confuses the group, further straining their already fragile morale. However, upon re-entering, Kara is met with suspicion and accusations from the others. To them, it appears that she barely made any effort to find help since only a few seconds have elapsed inside the cave, whereas Kara had spent roughly 30 minutes outside. This disparity in time perception frustrates and confuses the group, further straining their already fragile morale. They collectively come to the realization that the flow of time outside the cave is drastically accelerated compared to inside, making every moment in the cave feel elongated and slow. Taylor speculates that this time dilation is why the ropes they used for climbing are deteriorating so quickly. The friction against the cliffside, combined with the rapid passage of time, causes the ropes to age and fray at an accelerated rate, leading them to snap unexpectedly. Vives, curious about the phenomenon, re-examines Furby's footage. She notes the rapid progression of the sun's path across the sky, with sunlight and darkness cycling at an unnaturally fast pace. Vives deduces that the periods of brightness represent summer, while the darker intervals signify winter, resulting in an entire cycle of seasons passing within a single second. This astonishing revelation implies that 1 full year on the outside corresponds to just 1 second within the cave's distorted time frame. By extending this calculation further, they determine that approximately 5,400 years have elapsed on Earth since they first entered the cave. This realization dawns on the group like a horrifying epiphany. They are not merely lost in space, but also in time, trapped in a temporal anomaly that has catapulted them millennia into the future. The implications of this discovery weigh heavily on the group. They understand that the world they once knew has likely changed beyond recognition, and the lives of everyone they ever cared about have moved on without them. Faced with this grim reality, their initial goal of simply escaping the cave now seems more daunting than ever. Not only must they find a way out, but they must also grapple with the realization that their very existence has been untethered from the time they knew. As they look to each other for guidance, the group begins to piece together a plan, understanding that every second counts and the decisions they make inside the cave will have profound implications on their chances of survival and their potential return to a world that has long forgotten them. As Kara tries to climb the cliff once more, a high-tech futuristic ladder suddenly descends into the cave, accompanied by a giant figure clad in a spacesuit. Out of nowhere, a caveman appears and attacks the giant, but the giant subdues him non-lethally. The group panics and runs to another part of the cave, where they come across the bodies of the cowboy and Hopper's parents. They are soon confronted by 3 more cavemen. Taylor decides to fight them, but is brutally killed while the girls flee to another section of the cave. Kara returns and finds Taylor's lifeless body. Overcome with grief, she is confronted by the alien giant, who picks up Taylor's body and drags him to a pool of magical water. To their astonishment, the water revives Taylor, bringing him back to life. However, the cavemen return and attack the giant, knocking off his helmet and exposing him to the cave's air, which he cannot breathe. Despite this, the giant manages to capture all the cavemen before succumbing to the hostile environment. Before he dies, the giant shows the group several media clips explaining that humans have begun migrating to another planet to preserve humanity, revealing the drastic changes on Earth since their disappearance. The group realizes that there is no way back to the world they knew and must decide whether to escape now or remain in the cave forever. Taylor eventually finds a severely injured Hopper in front of a thicker wall where Hopper's long-lost sister and people from various eras are frozen in a battle to seize the Fountain of Youth. Hopper explains that the entire cave system was designed to protect the fountain, with each layer having a different speed of time flow. The deeper the layer, the slower time moves compared to the previous one. Using the water from the fountain, the group heals Jackie and even revives Furby. However, they are attacked once more by the remaining cavemen. With no other options left, they decide to use the high-tech ladder brought by the giant to climb out of the cave. Upon reaching the cave's entrance, they discover it has been submerged in water. Kara tries to break through the barrier, but she is suddenly pulled away by strange creatures, which turn out to be further evolved humans. Moments later, a fully suited up Kara returns to the cave with a high-tech rope to rescue everyone, including Furby, Hopper, and Hopper's parents. In the film's conclusion, Furby, Hopper, his parents, and his sister are all brought back to life. They find themselves aboard a massive spaceship headed toward a new Earth, leaving their old world behind. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get notifications for new movie recaps.